And so the pantomime rolls on in the Tommy Robinson Roadshow. So Tommy Robinson New Era, the X account. Let's get that perfectly clear. The people behind it decided that they had to do a charitable thing. They had to intervene and save Tommy from himself, according to the public relations stunt we've just seen. And they took down the silenced video without his consent. Absolute nonsense. It was done with his full consent. It's all part of the orchestrated pantomime, the theatre that these people are notorious for. So they took it down without Tommy's consent, did they? That's absolute rubbish, and we all know it. And there's no point spinning anything to the contrary. So what was the real purpose of taking down silence? Well, it's not because he's been silenced, has it? You know, he's not been silenced at all. So let's get that perfectly clear. And he volunteered himself for this latest prison sentence, yet again. We all know that. And so let's look at it in a completely different way than the transparent spin that these people have put out. So from what we're told, over 2 million has been raised since he began this latest pantomime prison sentence at HMP Wood Hill. And so in truth, with the money in the bank, and obviously Ezra Levant is the caretaker of most of that money. He's raised an awful lot for Tommy and his kids to keep them in a luxurious lifestyle, that is, you know, all from the grift. And it's time now for Tommy to get out and enjoy the proceeds of that grift. It really is that simple. Now people say, oh, this is cynicism. Well, he's notorious for it. You know, we know this for a fact. Where's the audited accounts? We've still not seen them since 2017, have we? We're never going to see them because these people are grifters, they are fraudsters, and they're into false accounting. And we know that for a fact as well. So in terms of the Peter Lynch scam, and that's all it was by Urban Scoop, or are they bankrupt now? It's hard to keep track of these people. They have so many shell companies that go bankrupt and then reinvent themselves with a new name. It's almost impossible to understand what's happening with these people. And that's the whole point, isn't it? But it's not impossible. It's almost, but it's actually quite clear. It's just a scam operation, the whole lot, in actual fact. That's why they keep having all of these different companies with different names, particularly with Companies House. Although Jenna is now banned from doing that because of false accounting. And probably with this 2 million, they'll be able to pay off that £300,000 corporation tax. Well, don't hold your breath, you know. And the 1.1 million in the shell company with Companies House, which got struck off. Well, is that going to be paid? No, absolutely not. Oh, sorry, it was already paid, wasn't it, from previous grifting proceeds. So the simple truth is, that's why Tommy has decided it's time to get himself out and to go back to the sun for a short while before he faces the Terrorism Act case for refusing to hand over his PIN code. Now, on this one, I stand with him entirely. You know, he did absolutely the right thing. You know, he should not have handed over that PIN code, but he knows the consequences for doing so. You know, that is a criminal offence, whether you like it or not. It's a completely horrendous piece of legislation. Truly it is. You know, and we're all subjected to it. It's not just for Tommy Robinson. He's not exceptional, you know. There's not mutually exclusive issues that apply only to Tommy Robinson. That is something else he has to face. And then, of course, what happened to that, was it incitement investigation for what he posted on X? Well, that seems to have been shelved, does it? There's not going to be a gate arrest. We know that for certain. You know, because Tommy's already arranged that. And apparently we're also told by Don Keith that he's not been in segregation on a wing with 26 cells emptied just for himself, because according to Don Keith, his invisible friend, Jesus, has been to visit him and told him that, you know, he needs to take down the silence video and, and get himself out of jail because his country needs him, according to Liam Tufts. Which country are we talking about? Is it Ireland, Israel, or Britain, England? And the reason why I ask is because he travels on an Irish passport, boasts about his Irish ancestry and their involvement in the IRA and the East Uprising, and his sympathy for the Fenians, who are all now extreme left in actual fact. Well, Tommy's centre left, so that's not really a problem, is it? You know, hiding behind phony patriotism. Some flags, we don't know which flag it is because there's so many different flags on these Unite the Kingdom rallies. What was it before that? A Day for Freedom? Oh, goodness me, honestly. You know, it's hard to keep track of all this nonsense in actual fact, but nonsense is what it is. So which country needs him? Which country is missing him? You know, is it Israel? Is it Ireland? Is it England? Or is it Britain? These are very good points, which they don't like to answer in actual fact. And I don't care. And in terms of the 42,000 that was raised on the 26th of October 2024, we're still no closer to any clarification. The lie machine is still in full swing. And Gurmit Singh has not explained a thing. And despite his threats, particularly against Paul Bates, he's still not produced that notorious shitposting video in which he was going to smear Paul Bates as a paedophile, which is the standard currency for Tommy Robinson and Lawrence Fox as well. We've seen them both admit it, haven't we? You know, in interviews between the pair of them. So at the end of the day, it's like this. Tommy's getting out, apparently. He hopes. And he might get out early, you know, because he's taken down the silence video. He's complied with the judge's order. He never needed to breach it in the first place, but he did. And he did so deliberately, knowing exactly it would get him back in jail, where he would be able to grift another large sum of money and then get himself out and go back to the Sun for a while and come back and face the terrorism case and do some more grifting. You know, and there'll be even more money demanded as a result of this terrorism case. And the simple truth is, he doesn't really need to grift anything because legal aid is available to him, you know, and it's a very straightforward matter. Did you refuse to hand over the PIN code when asked? Yes, you did. So you're guilty, aren't you? So he's going to put forward a defence of what? Okay, he was protecting his sources, which he's entitled to do. I would put forward exactly the same defence in actual fact, without a doubt. But he doesn't need to grift for it. But you can be absolutely certain there will be another grift. And it will coincide perfectly with this next rally they've got planned in September. Although this one's not going to be called Unite the Kingdom. No, they've moved on from that nonsense, having failed to unite the kingdom. And their ridiculous pledge obviously ended up in tatters within 8 months. So this one's going to be called a free speech rally. But what has the man actually done for free speech other than grift? He's done nothing for free speech. Just like Toby Young at News International, Free Speech Union, formerly News International, that organised criminal gang. And of course the other criminal accomplice at News International, an organised criminal gang, I reiterate, Dan Wootton, is also singing his praises, making up the most weird and wonderful fairy tales about being tortured in prison. He's not been tortured, he's been in segregation, 26 cells, emptied for his benefit, and his invisible friend's been allowed to visit him as well, as frequently as he wants to, in actual fact, according to John Keith. Mockery aside, or is it mockery, you know? The simple truth is, Tommy has not been doing a real prison sentence. He's been doing a pantomime prison sentence. He's made a stack of money out of it yet again, and now he's seeking to be released so he can spin off to his villa in Spain, or one of his criminal accomplices' villas in Spain or elsewhere, and have a few weeks in the sunshine, make some whining videos, come back, make some more whining videos, do some more robbing and sobbing, which is why we call him Tommy Rob and Sob. And he might end up with yet another prison sentence, and that, of course, will bring about even more grifting and even more money. And we have to ask ourselves, when is actually Tommy going to do something that actually benefits this country? Because whilst he's doing all of this grifting, the country's going down the pan, quick sharp, and we all know it. And that's the whole point of this distraction tactic, the misdirection movement, which he's one of the leaders of. So if you think Nigel Farage is going to reform the country, well, you better see my previous videos about fake Farage, hadn't you? You know, and toxic ties. I mean, look, you know, if you can cope with the truth, and it is the truth, being absolutely no doubt about it, and it's the unpalatable truth, it's something you really don't want to listen to if you're one of their groupers. But I'm going to keep on saying it, whether you like it or not. And the simple truth is, Tommy, when he's released, he'll be coming out to a big, fat payday yet again, which is all Tommy ever does. And then he'll be going for another big fat payday. He'll throw a bit of the money to lawyers to maintain the pantomime, which is part and parcel of the process. And they'll be back out again to do yet another grift. The point that I'm making is it's time to stop following this con man. It's time to stop throwing money at him, and it's time to get into a real battle, yeah, to reinstate freedom of expression in this country. And we know this is an absolutely horrendous leftist tyranny. There's absolutely no doubt about that at all. But look, it existed before Starmer came to power. He was instrumental in building it with New Labour. You know, the Tories were in power for 14 years and enacted more tyrannical legislation, more instruments of tyranny to wipe out free speech than what New Labour did. Okay, so let's put it into a proper perspective. What does Tommy after offer us in terms of free speech? Where's his policy to reinstate free speech? He doesn't have one. And every time he's put on the spot, he doesn't have a policy. He doesn't have a solution. He has no recommendations. All he does is tell you what's wrong in the country. And he can do it in quite extensive detail, in actual fact, and then does an enormous amount of grifting. If you're content with this, well, then stop singing "I want my country back," because you won't be getting it back. And in the context of Tommy Robinson, what does "I want my country back" mean? Ireland, Britain, or Israel? In fact, do you actually know who and what you're supporting? Do you even care? Are you so far lost that you no longer have any recognition of reality, of the facts presented to you? Get with it. Come on. It's time to get back on the right track. And Tommy is most definitely the wrong track.